Welcome back to American Textbook Reading. I'm Brian Sturritt. Have you ever went to the market? I've been to the market, and today's topic is all about visiting the market. Visiting the market. So, let's see. Have you ever visited the market? Well, the market is the place where you buy goods. Here are some goods. This mango and this orange are types of goods. So, now, let's begin with the vocabulary section. Do you know the first word in the vocabulary section? The first word in the vocabulary section is vegetable. Vegetable. What is a vegetable? Well, a vegetable is something that you use as food. It's something that you use as food. Okay? Vegetable is something that you use as food, but they don't have seeds, just like this orange or this mango. Mangoes are big seeds, but oranges have little seeds. Or you can buy sandwich as a good. Well, now let's see. Now let's move on with the next vocabulary word. So the first vocabulary word is vegetable. Bye-bye, vegetable. Now let's move on with the next vocabulary word. The next vocabulary word is provide. To give someone to do, just like to give someone something or to do something, means provide. Just like if you're a customer, you want to buy fish, I provide you that fish. So that's called provide. 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 That is what provide means. That is provide. So it's provide. So let's see. In here that we've just talked about provide, it's not just that I provide you some vegetables, but it can also be we provide the plant something to eat. Well, the most common thing that plants eat is actually bugs. Have you ever heard of the Venus flytrapper? Well, it eats bugs. It cannot eat water because it's too high up in the tree. Well, what about this? Some people even use meat to feed the plants. Then they wait maybe 2 years, and then the meat will be turned into flesh, and then that flesh, the meat will be turned into flesh, and that flesh, which will go underground, will become the food for the plant. So that's the meaning of provide. What about pick out? Pick out means to choose something. Here we have an orange apple, a green apple, an orange, a green apple, a red apple, and a yellow orangolo. What is an orangolo? Well, an orangolo is grapefruit plus orange plus grapefruit plus orange and X. Do you know what is the X sign? We will numplicate. So plus, or maybe X plus grapefruit equals orangolo. So we can even combine fruit, just such as if you have grapefruit, you have oranges, and you have an apple. If you mix them into juice, they will taste like orangulos. It's hard to peel apart, but it's sweet. Now that we've talked about pick out, let's have some examples of pick out. If you're at a toy shop and there are many different kinds of toys. One is a telescope, one is a toy Iron Man, and one is like a Lego set. So one is a Lego set, one is a toy Iron Man, and one is actually a telescope. So you have to pick out what you want to buy. Do you want to buy the Iron Man? If you don't, you put it back where it is. If you don't want to buy the binoculars, I mean the maybe this is the binocular one part. If you don't like it, you put it back. And if you like the Lego set, I got this Lego set. So if you want the Lego set, you can buy the Lego set. That is an example of pick out. Such as you have oranges, mangoes, and sandwiches. You choose. If you don't choose oranges because they're so sour, you put them back. If you don't want sandwiches because you don't like them, you put them away, put them back. And if you like mangoes, they're very sweet, you like them, so you buy them. So that's another example of pick out. So now we've just learned about pick out. Now let's learn about weigh or weight. Here you can see this. Here you see a rock that is 10,000 pounds heavy, 10,000 pounds heavy, and 100,000 pigs. So 100,000 fat pigs. See, the pigs are bending over. They must be heavier. So that's how you can do it. That's called weigh. If we're on the scale, if we step on the scale and one person jumps, woo! If one person jumps, yeah. If one person jumps, then that person that is jumping will come up into the air. That's it. Now that we've got that, let's just move on. Let's move on. Move on. So that we've talked about weight, let's see some examples of weight. So if I take this box, it's very hard. But if I kick this remote, it will be a lot longer. So if I kick something that's not heavy, it will go farther. But if I kick something that's really heavy, it will go not a very far distance. So that's what weigh means. Or maybe combine. Now, let's see. This is milk. Have you ever tasted milk? Milk is a white substance that usually comes from cows. Milk is a white substance that comes substance that is from cows. So that's it. So now, as you know, let's just move on. Let's go and move. Now that we had that, let's move on. let's move on with the word milk. Well, milk is a white substance that comes from cows. Moo comes from goats. And comes from sheep. Ma, ma. So, milk comes from many different kinds of things. I've already drank cow milk, but what? I can't believe it. Have you ever drank goat milk or sheep milk? Well, none of us did, but usually we use cow milk and mix them with many other fruits. That's also one way we can make milk. So, did you learn enough about milk? Let's move on with buyer. This is a very strong man. He's a buyer. He's buying some tools to lose weight. So this is a basket that shows him going to a giant frantic door. Smash, smash, smash. So, now that you learned everything that you need to learn about all these important words, let's move on with the mini quiz. Here is our mini quiz in the book. Visual summary. How goods come to your home, and also forms of money. So, are you ready? Let's get started. The first step that the goods come from your home is that they need to be made by nature. This is a giant tall tree. It reaches the ground and big leaves falling. These are the big leaves. But what do we have here? Well, we have super gigantic fruit. Look at it. It's big as the orange. So, first it needs to come from nature. What is next? Well, next it will be transferred to the factory. The factory will make it clean and send it to the market. There will be a seller or maybe a producer. Have you listened to the lesson Producers and Consumers? Well, the producer is the seller and consumer is the one who buys. The producer is the seller and consumer is the buyer. So we can say consumer as buyer, or we can say producer as you know, seller. So those are two main things. Then the goods of the seller or the producer will come to the customer, the buyer, or the consumer. Producer, consumer. So that is how things come from the market to your home. Now let's talk about some forms of money. We can have a check, we can buy credit, we can buy paper money, or we can buy the coins. So first, let's see. A check. A check is like, this is a check. So this is a piece of paper, okay? I write, my name is Ryan Spurry. I want a check. And my bill is, and you write out the bill, just like 180 cents. And you write, I want to buy something. Then you write your name, like Brian. And then you mark it. There. So that's how you write a credit. First, you say your name. My name is Brian Stewart. Then you write, I want to use a credit. And then you say, my bill is 180 cents, which means $1.80. And we have this. This is the word. You write out the thing that you want to buy, such as oranges, sandwiches, and many others. You write your name and then you send it to somewhere else. So we can be able to use checks. Now let's see why people like using a credit card. Because they think it's free. No, it isn't. If a credit card is here, the screen will give out the number, and if the result is 1,000, you have to pay $1,000 or 1,000 cents. $1,000 or 1,000 cents. If there are $1,000, there will be many cents. But if we're only 1,000 cents, 1,000 cents will be 10 times $1. 1,000 cents is just $10. Pretty easy, okay? Now, as you know, have you finished our forms of money? 2 forms of money. Let's move on with the form of money, paper money. What is paper money? Paper money is bills. Such as you have, this is your piece of paper, this is a printer, and then you print out the piece of money. Yeah, you're a cheater. And then you print lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of money. Then you blah blah blah, go to jail. Now that you have your bill, the bill is paper money because bills are made out of paper. Don't you know? Actually, bills are not well made, they're made by nature. Bills are not well made, but they are made by nature. Alright? So nature makes paper and you make the money printing machine, and then you give owe money to everyone. If you're super duper rich after you invented the money printing machine. So let's just continue with our last form of money. Our last form of money is counting by coins. Counting by coins, okay? Coins are actually money that is made out of metal. Metal comes from nature as well. And then we shape the metal into coins. First, we get old raw metal, and then we throw it into a gigantic fire. Then the metal will slowly turn into lava. That lava will be shaped by a special machine into a coin. Then they shape until there are a bazillion, billion, zillion coins. That's very hard work. But still, we do not know exactly where bills and dollars come from. So, now that you learned all about the vocabulary and also about the forms of money and some goods, let's take a short break and come back and we do the speaking section. So, don't go away. Now, as you know, let's just continue with the speaking section, or maybe the the speaking section or maybe the reading section. So now our speaking section is about visiting the market. So are you ready? Let's begin. Markets have many different types of goods, such as cereals, fruits, and vegetables. Imagine that you're at the store with your mom right now. Imagine, okay? Don't go to the store and say, "Hey, I want a credit card." And then, boom, you get moved away. Because no people buy a credit card, you have to earn a credit card. And do not make a credit card printing machine. That's useless. You have 1,000 credit cards. Now, imagine you're at a store with your mom. You can see lots of things that you can buy. What can you see and what can you buy? Well, you can unfortunately buy this. What is this? A zombie? Well, you can buy fruits, grains, or you could also buy toys. This is a toy Rubik's Cube. You can buy toys if you want. Those are also goods. Those sometimes are good because they make children happy, but this Rubik's Cube is especially for learning. Alright? Did you solve all of this? I solved two. Now, let's just continue with this. Let's continue with what? Let's continue with the speaking section. So, I've talked about fruits and vegetables and things and toys already. Now, let's move on with the main part of the speaking section. That's the main part of this. Then, your mom and you, or maybe your dad, will step to the counter. They're very hungry, so they ask the seller to give them 1,000 pieces of sandwiches. They pay for it, and then they go home. So there are some cycles that you need to follow in order to have these good goods. So the example will be these sandwiches. Okay? The example will be these sandwiches. So these sandwiches have to have a very, very important cycle in order to be here. So what is it? Well, it all starts with a seed. Why does this sandwich box, the sandwiches inside this sandwich box start as a seed? Well, sandwiches come from grains, and grains come from seeds. You have to ask people to give you some grains so you can have the opportunity to plant the seeds. So this is an example of a blowing bomb. There. So now that you have it, then you will gum it to the factory and make it into flour. Then that flour will be made into good flour, not dirty flour, and then it will be put into a factory. Inside the food factory, they will make it inside the food factory, they will make it into these sandwiches. So every living thing on earth has its own cycle. Even unliving things, like some metal. Metal always starts from nature. Nature makes up the metal, such as everything has a cycle. It can break down or come up. So a rock a tiny bit of sand, when it's cold enough, the sand will stick together and become a rock. So that's why in some beaches, you can see that sand can turn into rock. Why? As you know, because of the cold weather will attach the pieces of sand together, forming a big, huge rock. Do you believe me or not? Well, certainly you believe me. This is secret science. Social studies. Now that you learn about visiting the market, let's see if you remember our topic for today. Well, our topic for today is visiting the market. So now let's just cast some questions. The first question. You choose the right answer to each sentence. The first sentence. A market comes from a market to a market. Second, a sandwich comes from grains, but first it needs to be in a factory. 3, the market the producer or the seller buys things from a farmer. So, what do you choose, A, B, or C? Well, A doesn't make sense. B and C make sense. But you have to answer by the topic for today. So we don't talk about farmers in this lesson, so C can't be correct. Only B is correct. Now let's move on with the next question. Well, the next question is about forms of money. We can buy by beep and beep and beep and beep. So, what do we choose? A, credit, coins, dollar, and checks. B, homes, buyers, sellers, and markets. C, goods, fruits, sandwiches, and fish. So, what do you choose? Goods, fruits, sandwiches, and fish. Market, seller, buyer, home, or credit, coins, dollar, check. Well, unfortunately, I think that you're hungry, so you choose this, but actually not. We're going to choose the forms of money that are credits, coins, dollars, and checks. That is the answer for the last question. So, that you finished the last question, I'll just say something before we say goodbye. Now, today, we've learned about goods. We've learned about forms of money. We learned about markets, sellers, and buyers. We learned about the cycle of how fruits come to our home. And we learned about what do we do with it at home. So, I hope you learned a lot in this lesson about visiting the market. So, see you and see you again in the next book.